Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you are all well. I'm well. I'm just coming up for air for a second. I'm having a sit down, I'm coming up, whatever. Yeah, it's been a crazy bonkers few days. I continue to be in this kind of whirlwind of life at the moment. It's all good. It's just a bit tricky trying to sort of fit everything in and the logistics anyway, more of that in a second. Weirdly, we went a bit warm, quite hot, more of that in a second too. So the video that you were going to see today, filmed a week and a bit ago, was because it went really, really cold. We had frost. I didn't quite have a frost here, but around the country. Anyway, it seems a bit odd to put that out now that we've gone warm again. So I'm going to put that out in a day or two. Or not a day or two, in a video or two. Yes, okay, gather thoughts. I don't know where to start. So, at the moment, obviously, priorities are selling this flat, me finding a new flat to live in, but also fitting other things around it. So this last few days, I had a full day out and about viewing properties for me to buy. That took up like pretty much a full day, so there wasn't really much time to do anything else. Then the following day, I was cleaning, tidying the flat because, like I said when I was talking about staging, I don't live that tidily normally. So when I'm working, when I'm doing normal life, the flat gets into a tip again. So remember I was saying how before viewings, I need to remember, okay, firstly to clean, that's a given, but also to tidy up, pack away my office, as it were, every time, because I had viewings the next day. So yeah, that was quite a busy time. But then in the evening, well, late afternoon, I knew that I was going out at about 5 o'clock and I was going to be out all night. More of that in a second. I haven't had a night out like that in years. It was brilliant. So that was why there was the pressure on that day to get the flat perfect, because I knew I was going out and then the next day I would be having viewings. So I'd be out of the house again for the viewings to happen. And so it's probably going to go for the next little while. So I'm between that now. So that viewings were yesterday. Today, the flat is trashed again. It's back to work, back to normal, as it were. And then tomorrow I've got more viewings. So, but they're quite a bit later in the afternoon. So tomorrow will be, okay, sort the flat out again. So yeah, it's definitely a time for being a good juggler, because obviously I need the flat to look its best for viewings. Likewise, I still need to work. I still need to make my mess. So, you know, in an ideal world, the viewings would all be on one day. And then I'd have 6 days during which to do other stuff, including me going out to do my viewings. But that's just as it is, you know, not everybody is free on a particular day, you know, on a weekend day. And I am completely, you know, I said to my agents, I'm going to be completely flexible. If the only time someone can come is 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, so be it. I will make myself available. I will make the flat available for them. Anyway, so yeah, I've been looking at a few. Yeah, quite a bit of disappointment so far. Let's not dwell on it. That's fine. A couple that I thought, oh, this is perfect, and then when you actually get there, you know, there's always something, isn't there? One red flag for me is the smell of damp. If the place smells of damp, yeah, I'm out of there. So anyway, yeah, so back to my night out. Goodness me, it has been such a long time. I mean, I actually can't remember the last time I went up into the West End of London on a Friday night to have a night out. We started quite early, was it 6 o'clock? And we finished really late. So I was really groggy the next day. Actually, that was another reason for getting all the cleaning and prepping done the day before, because I knew I was going to have a night out. I knew it was probably going to be a big night out. So, yeah, make sure everything's done. So the night out was for my drama school reunion. Oh my goodness, I've never been to a school reunion of any sort before. I think there was a reunion for my high school. It was a 10-year one, so I would have been 26 then. And by then I was living and working in London, and to be honest, I didn't really like school. I didn't like most of the people. I liked a small group of people, my little set, but none of us lived in Lancashire anymore. We were all to the winds, and I knew that none of my little group of people were going to be attending, so I thought I'm not going to go either. So I've never been to a reunion before, and with things like, say with drama school, obviously for quite some time, as one is out and about on the circuit, one bumps into one's fellow classmates. That's inevitable, but this reunion was our 30-year reunion. So we really have not entirely lost touch, but just we have not all been together in the same spot for years and years and years. So when one of my pals got in touch to say, we're doing this, are you in? I was like, heck yes, I am so in. So it was lovely to, in so many ways, but I loved getting up into town. We were meeting up in Soho at one of the arts clubs there. So it's like a sort of a private members club. Much as you would have gentlemen's clubs, there are numerous private members arts clubs. So it's for creative types. And one of our pals, that's her club. So that was chosen as well because one of our friends is currently performing in, it's the Harry Potter show, what's it called? The Cursed Child, is it? At the Cambridge Theatre. So because he's performing in it, let's meet up somewhere really close by, so that the minute he comes off stage, dashes back to his dressing room, washes his makeup off, puts his normal clothes on, then he can come and join us after the show, so no one misses out. So yeah, getting out of the tube at Leicester Square Tube, the one that tips out on Charing Cross Road, beautiful evening. It was so warm, it was gorgeous. Walking up Charing Cross Road, of course I looked in a couple of bookshops. Henry Porter's is still there. I think there's only 2 there now. I only saw 2. But yeah, I had forgotten just how crowded that part of London is on a Friday night, because of course it's Theatreland. So arriving there at about 6 o'clock, there are tons of pre-theatre people around. They're getting a bite to eat before they go and see their show, you know, curtain up at 7:30 for instance, let's go and get a bite to eat. So it was absolutely packed, jam-packed with people. But I don't mind it. There's such a buzz and such an energy. It's like, yeah, look, if you were trying to get home from work and that's what you were facing every day, I'm sure you'd get grumpy. But just as a one-off, I just let myself get carried along on this wave of people and energy, and yeah, so it was a great start to the evening, just arriving up in the West End, because like I said, it's been a long time for me. So, oh my goodness, what a night. It was so wonderful. Nobody has changed at all. Nobody's changed at all. Okay, there were a couple of grey hairs, because we were all in our early mid-20s at drama school, so we're now all in our early mid-50s. But everybody looked exactly the same. It was weird. It was kind of weird. Maybe a little bit fuller of face, maybe, like I said, a couple of grey hairs, only a couple, but yeah. And it was so lovely that it was that instant, it was just the gang was together. It was instant. There was no awkwardness. Obviously there was a lot of catching up, like, what have you been doing? What are you up to now? All that sort of thing. But yeah, we all immediately just fell back into our relationships with each other of joshing and japing and taking the mickey out of each other. And it was a night full of laughter. As we'd remember a particular story that someone else might have forgotten, we'd remember that story and they go, oh yeah, and howls of laughter. Gorgeous. I'm so glad I didn't hesitate to go. And it was, obviously it's wonderful to hear how everyone's careers have gone. My goodness, folk have achieved so much in my little gang. There were 14 of us, 9 guys, 5 girls. That's usual at drama school because there are more male parts than female parts, what have you. So of the original 14 of us, 10 of us made it to the reunion. One lass is in Australia working as a lawyer now. But yeah, so amongst everyone, obviously the friend I was mentioning, he's in the Harry Potter show, so we had to wait until 10:15 for his arrival. But amongst us, a TV commissioner, TV producer, theatre and film producer, TV writer, actors, of course, and one lass. It's interesting, actually, all the girls have gone on to do different things and have moved completely out of the arts, including me. So one of them has become a psychotherapist. She's been doing that for 20 years. Brilliant. Yeah, it was, and really exciting. I can't wait for this. So, do you remember The Salt Path, the book by Raina Wind, The Salt Path? Well, the film is coming out. I think it's April, didn't it say April 25? So it turns out that's his wife has directed it, and it's her first time directing a movie. She's a very, very highly regarded theatre director. Worked for years at the Royal Exchange, then came to the Royal Court in Manchester, then came to the Royal Court in London, then moved over to the National Theatre, and then they set up their own production company. This is my little mate from drama school. It's like, you're massive big leagues now. So he was telling me all about the filming of it, and he'd actually just come back from Toronto because it's had its first screening at the Toronto Film Festival. It was brilliant. But what I loved about the whole evening, and this came up, and I'll kind of get into this a bit in a second, but there was not an ounce of ego in the whole evening. There wasn't an ounce of competitiveness or bragging. There was none, and everyone seemed genuinely pleased for everyone else for whatever they're doing in life. Because yeah, I've just rattled through what they're doing in terms of work, but more importantly, everyone just seemed really happy and content in their lives. So as human beings, not just the human doing bit. This is a room full of people who, to all intents and purposes, they seemed content. There seemed to be serenity amongst people. It was just lovely. And like I said, that kind of real sort of pleasure in each other's successes, not an ounce of jealousy. It was just lovely. So I was saying about my friend who's Mrs. It's kind of weird. Phil directed The Salt Path. I was talking about what I've been doing for the last few years in terms of sort of stepping out of that kind of capitalist consumerist society and just doing my own thing. And he just seemed so genuinely, firstly, interested in what I've been doing, but genuinely pleased for me in the same way that I'm genuinely pleased for him and his missus and how their life is going. It's extraordinary, actually, what time does to our psyches, isn't it, I think? Because when I think back to when we were all in our... I'll get there. I'm giddy. So much happens in 30 years, doesn't it? Oh, And the other thing that was astonishing is no divorces amongst my friends. So out of all of us that evening, there are 6 marrieds and 4 never married. So there were 4 like me. I'm included in the 4. Is that higher than average? Anyway, yeah, sorry, I lost my track. Yeah, we talked about this sort of notion of what that 30 years has done to us all, and that idea that when we're 21, 25, 26, 22, whatever, early 20s, we are so full of ego, but we're also so full of fragility, insecurities, jealousies, perhaps prone to bigging ourselves up, bragging ourselves up, making out that, you know, things are better than they actually are. And yet here we are 30 years later, and it just seems that all of that's been jettisoned, the ego, the insecurities, the bragging, whatever. It feels like we're all now just sitting in our lives comfortably and enjoying who we are, what we do. It's like it's taken 30 years to come to a point of saying, you know what, I am who I am, like me or lump me, take me as you find me, this is who I am. And you know what, this is good enough. It was so refreshing. Yeah, a couple of us talked about that and how lovely it is to see everyone now just happy and confident and knowing who they are. Because when you're 21, 25, as much as you think you do, you've hardly begun. It freaked me out, and then I freaked everyone else out by mentioning it, to say that actually it's longer since we left drama school. These 30 years, we've had more life since we've left drama school than we had when we went to drama school and all met each other. It's like, oh my goodness, yeah, we were such babies. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it was a really a wonderful night full of love, humour, a bit of ragging, and just fondness. I think that's a good word, actually, fondness for each other. There was a moment when, I don't know, it was getting on for midnight. It was getting so loud. We were being really loud. And I just sort of sat back for a second and looked at everyone, looked at all these, I'm going to get emotional, these wonderful, beautiful people, this little gang that we were. I just looked around and everybody's face was lit up and full of joy, and I don't know how to describe it. It was a lovely moment though, and I kind of felt proud for everyone of where they are in their lives. And I don't just mean the work thing, but of who they've become, who they've matured into. Just really happy for everyone. Really, really happy for everyone. We all turned out all right. Really, really all right. So what a great night. It cost quite a bit of money. Oh, God. The lovely Rob, hi Rob, had sent me money for a couple of beers, and I dipped into my kind of birthday money savings bits. But you know what? It was well worth it. Well worth it. I keep having images from the evening come back to me, which is a bit self-indulgent. I won't go into that. But yeah, I'm really glad I went, and I think more than anything, it's that life lesson in it for all of us, that whatever age or stage you are at in life, it is possible to reach who you are and be happy with it. Yeah, it's lovely. It was lovely. It was so sweet that, you know, I did slightly in the back of my mind before I went, I did think, oh God, am I going to be the only one that's kind of dropped out of acting, that's kind of left the scene? Am I going to feel inadequate? Actually, they couldn't have cared less. None of them could have cared less. It's like, are you happy in life? Yeah, that's great. That's all that matters. How lovely. How lovely. So, yes. Then, it's been such a happy few days. And it's the littlest things. So, the next morning with a slightly fuzzy head. I got up and I did the last little bits that I needed to do to the flat, just went really slowly. And then I had the viewings, so I knew I needed to be out of the flat for the viewings. I thought, oh, what am I going to do? I didn't need to do any shopping. I could have... Oh, and by the way, so that lovely weather from that night out, that lovely weather continued, and the next day it was so sunny, so warm, gorgeous, like summer. It was like summer again. It's beautiful. And, oh, I can't remember why Gary had texted me at some point. And I think he'd said something about going to the plot, and I said no. I said, to be honest, I've got a bit of a thick head. I'm really tired. That was the thing. I'm so tired. I've been using up a lot of physical energy getting on with things. My back had been out. My back had gone out about a week ago. I was really struggling to get on with things, but be really, really careful with my back. It's pretty much fine now. Occasionally I can feel it just a little tiny niggle, but nothing like it was. So I think that tiredness of, it's been quite physical, but at the same time, with my back, busy, but then also the nervous energy I've been expending, both in terms of selling and looking at flats. That's a lot of nervous energy. The nervous energy before I went and met up with all my drama school pals. So by that Saturday, I was wiped, absolutely wiped out. So when Gary said, are you going to the plot? I said, no, I'm a bit foggle-headed. I'm exhausted. I've got to be out for a couple of hours for viewings. And he said, why don't you go to the one of our local pubs? He said, just go and have a pint in the sunshine. And I thought, I just had a pint last night. I thought, oh, stuff it, that's what I'm going to do. So this, one of the local pubs, I haven't been to it. I worked out, I haven't been to it since April 2023. Time before that was August 2021. It's been a long time. I just don't really go out these days. Anyway, beautiful day, threw a summer frock on, walked down the road, and they've got a really, really lovely beer garden. It's sort of, it's almost like a formal garden. It's somewhere between sort of like an Elizabethan knot garden or parterre and a French park. So the sort of pathways are in bound gravel, so that's like crunch, and then little seating areas go off, but they're all bound by really closely clipped box hedging that's about 2 foot high. So when you're sitting there, you're sort of almost enclosed in these little circles of box hedging, and there's sort of espaliered trees for shade and the sound of water. It's really lovely. So I thought, you know what? So Gary had said, go and have a pint. I thought, yeah, you're right. So off I go. Go into the pub, and the guy serving, it's the manager, obviously I haven't seen for ages. He's pulling a pint for someone. He looks up, and it's the loveliest thing in the world. It's the simplest thing in the world. He massive beaming smile, and he went, Vivi! Oh my goodness, it's been ages. How are you? No, he started doing that. He's like, oh, hang on, I'm serving. So he finished serving this little bunch of lads, and then it was my turn. He said, oh, you look really well. I'm sorry I haven't been in for so long. How are you? Just a bit of catch up. What would you like to drink? So I had a pint of San Miguel, which is a Spanish lager. It's really nice. It's quite light. It's not too alcoholic. Not too bitter, not too sweet, quite hoppy. Got a fizz to it. It's lovely, refreshing on a hot day. So we carry on chatting, and then he's poured my pint. I go to get my purse, and he said, it's on me, welcome back. I got a free pint. So nice. Actually, more than the free pint, just the greeting when I walked in the door, a genuine big smile, and oh my goodness, hi Vivi, welcome, so lovely. Small things can be so huge. Smile at people. It doesn't take much, does it? So off I went into the garden to sit and have my refreshing beer. By then it was feeling really quite warm, hot even. So I sat down, had my first sip. Oh, it's cool and refreshing and bubbles. And then I closed my eyes for a couple of seconds, just feeling the sun on my face and hearing the water babbling. There's 2 little water bubbles and people's footsteps on the bound gravel, that slight crunch. And I thought, I could be in France. I feel like I'm in France. And then, completely mad, I thought it. A couple came and sat within each little seating area. There's only a couple of tables, so you can feel really private. But what time of day? It was about 3 o'clock. So yeah, people were still arriving. It wasn't busy. People having food. But yeah, a couple sat next to me and they were French. So they started gabbling away in French. So I closed my eyes again. I can hear gravel crunch. I can hear the water babbling. I can feel the heat of the sun on my face and French conversation. I'm in France. So I suppose the point of me telling you this story is a couple of things. One, it's the importance of a smile, a genuine smile and a happy greeting when you see someone. It just went to my heart. But in that moment, because yeah, I mean, I was tired, and although the night before had been wonderful, there had been quite a few bits of stress going on. Let's face it, it's quite a stressful time, and there's been a lot of kind of really just running about, just lurching from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. There's not been time to stop, to think, to just take a breath. And so in that moment, I just said to myself, you know what? You can't go back to the flat right now. There's nothing you can do about that. So completely immerse yourself in this moment. Allow yourself to be utterly in this moment. So I sat there for about probably an hour and 3/4. I did end up getting a second pint. Yeah, it's a drinking weekend, who cares? And yeah, just for a couple of hours, pretended I was on holiday. And it was gorgeous. It was perfect. If you're having busy, crazy times, if you find yourself in a moment like that where for an hour you can't do it, you're waiting for something, for example, just let yourself be there. Let everything else go if you possibly can, and just appreciate quietness, stillness. For me, I was appreciating the stillness, just sitting still, the quietness, the warmth, all of those different senses, tuning into each of them and just appreciating them in that moment and loving it. It was great. So yes, goodness me, what a few days. Now, what else have we got up to? So the rest of today, I think I probably need to do a chunk of cooking. That would be probably a good idea. I mean, today is rattling. I'm looking at the clock. Today is already rattling on. It would be useful to get a load of cooking done. Fill the freezer up with ready meals, just because it just because it's a little bit chaotic at the moment. And the last thing I want is to get a viewing. I think, did we agree? I think we agreed 24 hours notice minimum. But the last thing I want is a kitchen that's an absolute mess with a ton of washing up and thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to get clean. If it's 9 o'clock in the evening, thinking, right, oh, I've got to get this all ready by 9 tomorrow morning. So I think that would be a good thing to do some batch cooking today. And I think a really good thing to do today will be to, yeah, it's list time. I've got scraps of paper all over the place. I know, for instance, that next week I need to go back over to that other village to go to my solicitors to sign papers for my will. That's all finalised now, so I need to go and sign for that. And while I'm over there, I need to go to another place to pick up some papers to do with insurance. So it's just that thing of, my pinboard is covered in scraps of paper of things that really need to be done, must not be forgotten. So today's the perfect day to sort of to get a big overview of all of that, and then start to look at the calendar and think, when can I put all these things in? And try, in doing all that, to make sure also to put in a couple of evenings which are totally free, where I'm not planning anything for the evenings. So I can just flop on the sofa and read a book, for example, or, you know, spend an age catching up with friends. Funny enough, after I left the pub after viewings, I was walking up the high street. I was walking so slowly. Honestly, I just want to sleep for a week. And I heard a little voice, Vivi, behind me. I turned round, and it's my lovely friend Kai. And she just was like, it's like, what's up? She said, I'm too busy. Because at the moment we have the artists trail on in my area. It happens every year. There are 2 weekends. So there's art in all sorts of different buildings. In fact, where I was at the pub, they're part of the artist trail, so they become a gallery as well as a pub. So she's been running around. So she's got work that's hung. So Kai is an art photographer, but she uses all sorts of old methods. So she works on film, and she works with pinhole cameras and all sorts. So as part of the artist's trail, she also does workshops. She's got 2 other exhibitions going on in town. So she was just like, she was looking for a pestle and mortar, bless her. And so we ended up on my doorstep chatting for about 10 minutes and said, right, we need a proper sit down cup of tea. Let me come over to yours, you come over to mine, whenever it is. Right, when would be good for you? And this is how bonkers for both of us. We were trying to work out when we could meet up for 1 hour, or hopefully a bit more, to sit down over a cup of tea and have a proper natter and catch up. And we've decided between us the first time will be, hopefully, first week of November. Everyone's so busy, but you know, it's good. It's good stuff. It's good busy. But it is, just to come back to that point, it is important within, no matter how good the busy is, maybe it's a bit of getting older as well, to say you do need at least, I would say for me, I need at least 2 evenings each week off, doing nothing. So I'm going to go and sit at my desk and plan out that for the next week, couple of weeks to come. Whatever I plan, there has to be that bit of flexibility in case, you know, viewings for the flat. Oh, and before anyone asks, because I'm sure folk will, excuse me, it's Sunday, so I haven't heard back from the estate agents. I haven't had any feedback from that first lot of viewings. I have no idea. What happened. We'll see. But yeah, I'll keep you posted if there's anything new to say. But of course, this whole house moving thing, both for me looking for a property and me selling this one, it can take months. It can take months and months and months. So it's highly unlikely that there will be significant news very soon. Highly unlikely. But if there is something to say about it, I will. So if I don't say anything about it, that's because there is nothing to say about it, as it were. It will get really boring if in every video for the next few months I say, at the end of it, say, by the way, there's nothing to say about the flat. So I won't say it. It'll be easier that way. All right, gorgiosities. I need that. I keep talking about I need a week in bed. I mentioned it to Kai when we were trying to arrange a meet-up, and I said, all I want to do is spend a week in bed doing nothing. She said, yeah, I agree. Anyway, sorry, digressing. I will see you all soon for the next one. In fact, for the next one, I might put out that one that I mentioned about it being really cold. So today, it's been really hot. This video is about it all being really hot and gorgeous, so lovely to be out in the sunshine. Next video will be all about frostiness and being cozy at home. Until then, I'm going to love you and leave you now. Please look after yourselves and smile. Smile at people. Give them the warmest greeting you possibly can. You never know, it just might make their day. Until the next one, Cheerio.